Tanzania has been a welcome break. Even though our desired entry point into the Congo is just opposite us on the western banks of the lake, we can't find a boat.
We're being forced into a route that we never wanted to take, into Burundi.
The feeling we get on the streets of Burundi suggests that we shouldn't be here. Our biggest fear of having to go to Goma seems inevitable.
We just spent a night in Goma, and it's honestly one of the most hectic places we've stayed in so far. There's fires going on in the street, and there's just police everywhere. Oh, you're saying is there lots of police on that road? Or?
Not many police.
Okay.
So those one like I don't know, you know them. The rebel for Rwanda. When you go take the bus, maybe you cannot be there, because if they see you like you there, you're going to be temple in that bus. The number, the number for your bus.
Yeah.
They gain.
They phone.
Yeah.
And say, they're coming.
Those one, they have money. All of them they can pass. So for you, they're waiting for it.
So how do you get around that?
Maybe
you go wait somewhere else.
So
you go there, you book the ticket, then you tell them pick me up there.
Yeah, like.
I see. Yeah. Okay. Alright.
Yeah, it's a good plan, that one.
Yeah, thanks.
It's clever. Okay, take one.
Hi, my name's Jordan.
My name's Luke.
Donovan. I'm a filmmaker, environmental science student. I first heard about Mokele-Mbembe when I was about 10 years old. Got a very large body, neck like a diplodocus with a long tail. Most of the expeditions that have gone there haven't come back with anything solid. So yeah, it would just be the ultimate claim to find the thing.
We heard of this Don. He was sort of just gung-ho enough to do it.
It sounded wild, and these two dudes sounded crazy enough to pull it off. So I said, why not?
Do you think it's possible that Mokele-Mbembe could be real?
Yeah, it's gonna be real.
Yeah.
To be honest, I have never seen it with my own eyes. Because here in Congo there are so many things which you cannot understand.
Compared to our home in South Africa and the other 6 countries we've traveled through so far, the DRC feels like another world. It's kind of like this enigma with endless stories. Historically, DRC was ravaged by the colonial scramble for Africa, and since its independence in 1960, it's been through 2 civil wars, many coups and assassinations, and the well-known Mobutu military dictatorship, amongst many other human rights violations. In terms of our mission for Mokele-Mbembe, the DRC is the 2nd largest country in Africa, with over 200 ethnic groups and 250 different dialects. And there's something tangible about this vastness the moment you enter. Only the Amazon is bigger than the Congo jungle and river, and with only 1.8% of the existing roads tarred, we're repeatedly told it's impossible to get across to the other side, Congo-Brazzaville. So after all the stories we've heard, we're finally here to experience a small dose of DRC for ourselves. For now, our hope is to push on to Kisangani, which is just over 1,000 kilometers away, where we hope to get onto the Congo River. But after our first experience of Goma, to say we're second-guessing ourselves is an understatement. We're slap bang in the middle of the Kivu region, set to travel up along the Rwanda and Ugandan borders, an area infamous for rebel attacks. It's the only place we'd planned to avoid when we set out on our journey, and yet here we are, 35 days later. You can literally see how quiet the streets are behind us. It's pretty much unheard of in Africa for 6 o'clock it to be completely empty like this. So quite a contrast and a strange feeling for us. It's very different. Ok, d'accord, j'arrive. I'll tell you what, at times like this, that cost myself while doing these kind of trips, it doesn't seem entirely worth it when you're getting clapped around in the back of a car and you feel so sick. Oh, shame. Jordan's been hit hard, he's vomited about 10 times. And so we're just in a bit of survival mode at the moment.
God bless you. God bless you.
Mambo.
Second to last stop before Kikuba.
Spent the last 10 hours vomiting out of a taxi window, so I'm still feeling pretty miffed. But at the same time, Congo is a beautiful country, so I don't want to be sick anywhere else. So yeah, silver linings there. My 14-hour bout of sickness has been the source of some amusement among our fellow passengers, and it's hard not to feel like an absolute tourist for my physical inability to handle a pretty standard Congo journey. Butembo itself is a beautiful, bustling city, yet also strangely unexpected. After traveling hundreds of kilometers with barely a village in sight, it's a tad overwhelming, and the fact that we arrive late in the evening doesn't make it any easier to navigate.
So we've kind of got a guy who's helping us get some places, but he's just taking us from one expensive place to the next, so it's actually way more of a hindrance, but yeah, that's where we're at.
Bonjour.
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 So then we sleep in Mombasa.
Sleep in Mombasa. There is hotels there. Good, best hotels there.
And
Yeah,
then,
but we don't want best hotels. We want cheap hotel.
That cheap.
They're very cheap.
Yeah.
Like what's cheap? Maybe.
Per day, $5.
Okay.
and then will they tell us when the bus is leaving.
In the morning.
Yeah.
So how much from here to Kisangani? So we just sat down here at this little stall waiting for a bus. I don't know where the owner of this shop is, but we basically just started selling her stuff, so we made 200 francs so far. We're hoping the bus arrives before she gets back and we can just pocket the cash, otherwise it's going to be a bit of a awkward thing when she knows some of the stocks missing. Love money. Even though everywhere we look is bustling with people and vehicles, lifts to Kisangani are scarce. The promise of a bus is empty, and we're left waiting for almost half a day until we eventually get a lift with a policeman and an army officer also going in that direction. It'll make it difficult for us to shoot anything, as authorities are always wary of filming, but we decide to just act as touristy as possible and see what we get. Driving through Jurassic Park. You just need a dinosaur. On the road, a lot of villages are desolate, and as we drive past a few burnt houses and cars, we begin to realize something is seriously amiss. We seem to be passing soldiers every kilometer or so we decide to ask what the story is.
The village is staying without people.
Are they rebels from Rwanda or are they from Congo?
From Uganda.
From Uganda.
They are mixed with some people from here.
See.
When they rob the people, are they stealing everything and killing, or what's they do?
They kill and they run. They didn't look for money, they didn't look anything, but they kill only and she ran away. Sometimes you can took some goats to go with.
And you say this was last week?
Yes.
Last week.
So we're on the road between Goma and Kisangani. We've just had quite a hectic couple of days in the taxis and things. And our map doesn't even correspond to what the road's doing, so it was quite confusing. But we've been here for about 3 or 4 days. We drove through this area. It was where they had a lot of Ugandan rebels. So like the villages have been completely sort of just evacuated. It's like these ghost villages you're just driving through. And then we even had to camp a night in that area, so it's quite, that was quite interesting.
He gives you 5 already.
And our car's giving trouble, so they cracked an axle or something, so we're just sitting outside the road waiting for them to fix it. And Luke's busy fighting about money as usual.
Leaving home, we were warned of the violence and war that plague Central Africa. Yet although we see these realities everywhere we look, we are even more overwhelmed by the kindness that people have shown all along our journey. Despite this strange sense of belonging though, there are always barriers that will separate our different worlds. And this is something which becomes plainly apparent that night, as everything around us descends into chaos.
Traveling in places like the DRC, you see the difference between first and third world most glaringly in times of crisis. When things do go wrong, they go badly wrong, and the effects of it are often felt that much more.
So we're just sleeping here on this dusty floor of a hospital between Mokele-Mbembe and Kisangani. The car we were traveling with rolled, and some of the people were quite seriously injured, so they've been taken to a bigger hospital in Kisangani to get treatment. And we're just waiting here for the driver to come back. He said he'd fetch us, so we're just sort of waiting it out until he gets back.
Well, the Congo has, for me, been this childhood dream to come to. And I must say it's lived up to all the stories people have told me about it. It really is, it is the most hectic place I've ever been to. Like, it's probably the first time in my travels I've ever felt a little bit sort of out of depth. Like, not in a sort of, I don't know, not in a coping way, but just in the sense that it's something it's like a world that's so far removed from my sort of sense of reality that it ends up just being super challenging in everything you do. So like even just something small like war and stuff, you realize if you don't come from that context, none of that makes sense to you. And just driving through these places with soldiers everywhere and sort of these rebels, you know, we're driving along this road and the driver casually points out a house that's been burnt down, and we're like, oh, like rebels. And then we thinking in our heads like, well, I wonder when that was. So we asked, we're like, when was that? He's like, oh, last week, you know, just like so nonchalant. So I don't know, it's been tough, but it's been really cool. It's definitely the most sort of
out there place we've ever traveled to, so it's been like way more exciting. But I mean, like, we're literally driving through places, like I said, where like houses were burnt down last week, so it's been tough, but it's been really sick, is what we came for. So sickness everywhere we go. Everyone's been ill. Rolled the car. No, it's been it's been expensive, it's been hectic.
Yana mzigo.
About 100 km from Kisangani. Our driver never came back to us after the accident, so it's hopefully the last trip we're going to take on the road, and then it's all river from here, so it's exciting feeling. Mokele-Mbembe. I want to fall asleep and fall off. Hearing that the injured passengers have made it to Kisangani safely lifts the heaviness of the last few days as we clamber onto a huge open-back truck. In amongst all the chaos since our arrival, it's easy to see why the DRC is so widely exotified. But truthfully, we're just grateful to be here, see a different way of life, and have our eyes open to so many new things. Sitting on top of that truck, we're in a totally different world to what we're used to. We've decided to leave our normal way of life, and it's a weird thing, because the further we get from home, the more we feel distant from all that it consists of. And that absence is filled with something new. You realize your comfort, your materialism, the rush of the city, and it all seems so purposeless. Kisangani? Yeah, eh?
Yeah. Balolema bazungu. Balolema bazungu.
You're challenged by the selflessness, the contentment, the sense of community, and the simplicity of life you see all around you. Home suddenly feels like a small world view, a sort of emptiness. And with your mind opening to everything new, you have a chance to change and to discover and learn. And that's the most freeing thing you can find.
Saw some monkeys burned like to a crisp. Saw a beheading of a goat literally on the on the truck. Now we're in Kisangani. I'm doing Luke's job.
Arriving in Kisangani, somehow my body knows it's like the end of such a hectic leg. I just literally feel like sleeping in this rubbishy dirt right here. I just couldn't even care. Feeling pretty smashed. Although the trip from Goma to Kisangani is only just over 1,000 kilometers long, it's still taken us 5 days to get here. It's been hectic and wild and pretty rock and roll. Because most of the roads are destroyed by war, the river has become DRC's main transport system.
So it's day 4 on the boat. We're a bit stuck now because the ship ran into a sandbank. We got a bit of a gangster crew next to us and they just started throwing all the beers overboard. The captain's now too scared to come to the boat.